Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you so very much. It's hump day. It's actually Wednesday, and it's overcast skies in Belize City.
Ooh, it's nice and cool.
It's beautiful out there in terms of how you feel. I can tell you that much, but overcast skies. I guess maybe because we haven't seen the sun as yet, or maybe it's that. I'm not sure as to why it's overcast out there, but nonetheless, it's a beautiful morning, and we do hope that all is well with you. We're so thankful that you're actually opening your eyes and starting your morning right with us.
That's right. It is Wednesday, February 9th, and there is a great show planned for you this morning.
Of course.
We're looking forward to our conversations, and we hope that you tune in and you can enjoy them.
Definitely. Speaking of enjoying them, the first order of duty, and this is daily for us.
Yeah, what's buzzing? What's buzzing?
Yeah, what's buzzing in newscasts from last night?
We were talking about Omicron wave. I almost, it's like Beetlejuice, like you don't want to say it out loud.
And then it just rear
It may be coming to an end. The numbers are looking positive.
Indeed, the numbers are actually trickling down. This is something that was actually expected by the powers that be. And to see it being going down like this is because we saw some significant numbers while the wave was actually passing by us. And that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of recoveries over new cases daily. I was very happy when I saw the numbers from the weekend, over 16 to 1,700 recoveries to about 600 to 700 new cases.
Yeah.
That simply means that, the tide is actually trying to lessen itself now.
Yeah. And the interview yesterday that the media had with Dr. Russell Manzanero, the epidemiologist for the Ministry of Health, I love that he was able to at least underscore that this is what the trend is currently, but as we've seen with Omicron, there's a lot of unpredictability built in. The key part is that we don't hear numbers are less and we just abandon all our safety protocols, because then you know what's going to happen. It's going to go right back up. So it's maintaining what we're doing now, that level of vigilance, that level of protection that we're taking with ourselves and our loved ones, and trying to get these numbers even lower. So yesterday we saw 337 new cases. 1,000 less than we saw just a few weeks ago.
Indeed, 846 with respect to new recoveries, but we're seeing 7 ICU admissions and 19 active hospitalizations, and we'd like to see those numbers trickle down. Marlene, there's also the concern for the fact that land borders, sea borders are actually open, but we're seeing a trickling downward spiral of the numbers of coronavirus cases that we've got in the country. But at the same time, we're actually being able to, or we're given access to countries that their numbers are actually skyrocketing. So how do you curtail this with people, us doing what we need to do to get these numbers down, but the gates are actually open. The floodgates are actually open for you to go to countries where their numbers are actually still staggeringly high.
Yeah, so, and let me tell you the thing that I'm really interested to see, the mask mandates that we have and the social distance and the regular enforcement. And I think people have been practicing it even without having police around enforcing. But that's not enforced across the border.
In those areas.
So I don't know if people are going to go over there and say, okay, I can be maskless in crowds and...
But it is something that, the Belizean public have been asking for. Hey, look, we're seeing these numbers. We can't literally see the virus. Let's just take off a mask. I mean, this is, we're going to get it anyways. This is actually the sentiment of a lot of people. That why can't we just take off our mask, and then when you want to go in a particular establishment, you put it on, because being outside is actually being outside. And how do we have restaurants or tell them, hey, you could have this amount of people at your restaurant if it's outside or outdoors, and you could take off your mask. This is just the sentiment of some folks.
No, but I was thinking back to a conversation we had with the Pan American Health Organization last week, and I think they were very clear in articulating that there still are so many unknown factors, and it is not necessary. There are some countries where the wave goes back up.
Yes.
So it's not that, and I know Dr. Manzanero talked about it being in the air, about how incredibly transmissible this particular variant is, and so many people are getting infected. And let's not forget, there are persons every single day who test positive. There are people who end up in the hospital, in the ICU, and there's still deaths being reported globally. So it's not that everyone is safe. And it's kind of that collective community mentality. You're a runner, and I always read the stories of when marathon runners especially hit a wall. Like you feel like you can't go anymore. And I feel that we're there collectively. Like we've hit that wall, and it's a matter of having the mindset to push through. The pandemic will eventually come to an end. It will, as they've said, become endemic, but we just have to keep on going. For me, I think, a little while longer.
I feel so too. I'm totally with you. A little while longer. I think of Kamar, we had mentioned as to what we feel that timeline would be around, but you're totally right.
But I'm no scientist. I am optimistic it'll be this year, when I don't know. And I'm not a fortune teller.
We don't know, but Mark, we've been sitting in these chairs ever since the start of this pandemic, and we've been hearing a lot of numbers. We've been hearing about the sciences. We've been reading a lot about it, and so therefore, it gives us the window of opportunity to actually express how we feel with respect to when they'll say, you know what, it's an endemic, man. Hey, let's live, and then we try to treat it thereafter. But one of the things also, Marlene, coming out of the news last night is the fact that we are able to go across to Guatemala, but when you get there, you need to take a test. Somewhere around $85 for that test. So what, and I say to myself, I wonder if they're putting actually a leash on themselves for the fact that you go across to Mexico, but you don't need to take a test, going across there. But for Guatemala, you need to do that.
Well, we have to test when people arrive.
If we spend the 24 hours.
Tourists who come in, they have to test when they arrive. So it is very common.
Same thing, yeah.
It is very common the protocols we have in Belize and the protocols you see. Mexico is a unique case. Mexico is being looked at as a entity in its own in the regulations that they have. But I wonder. I know a lot of people have family members in Guatemala.
Yes.
And they were looking forward to being able to jump on a bus and go home and see their families.
Indeed.
But that does make it cost prohibitive, especially if they go for longer. Then that's a test going in and a test coming back.
One of the principals of one of the schools there in Benqueviejo del Carmen was saying, or actually in an interview yesterday, there are about 65 students, Belizean students who actually live in Melchor, and for them to make that trek across, who knows? So something must be put in place for these children to actually get their education. And here in our country, here in Belize, because they're Belizean students, is where they get their education. And so therefore, what's going to happen? There are a lot of things, and I see this pandemic and say, my goodness, there's so many things that we need to break down. But I feel at the end of the day, it will eventually make us better with respect to policies and how we're able to live our lives. Have you learned to love from a distance?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I still miss hugging. I say it all the time. I do miss hugging tremendously. It was, that's how we greeted people. But it is, I think I remember reading an article. It was someone in New York who said they don't know if they'll ever not wear a mask in a subway because the awareness of the spread of germs now becomes. I think we're going to be a bunch of germaphobes moving forward, because you can talk to people or see people and you can imagine droplets coming out of their mouth.
Yeah,
that was a level of awareness I never really had before.
Yeah, something we didn't even look at, but now you're actually able to see it. And to be honest with you, I noticed there are a few people who are actually, you might have had not necessarily lower self-esteem, but maybe you don't want to say much around a lot of people. Now you put your mask on and then you talk. Because you feel much more comfortable that way. So all kind of thing to come out more.
Well, we still have more to go. But that was the report from the epidemiologist yesterday.
Yeah.
And speaking of vaccinations, the booster is now approved for the
12 to 17 years,
the teenagers. Do remember that if you are going to cross the border, you and your children, those who are eligible for vaccines, must be fully vaccinated so that they can cross. That is part of the regulations that are in place.
Yep, so you must be fully vaccinated. And this is a great opportunity because we're actually seeing that the being vaccinated work for you. It does work. And so this is an opportunity for you to take your teenager out there, 12 to 17, and get their boosters. It's very important that we do this. Things are actually opening up back slowly but surely. But is the pandemic going to go away? So all of these things you need to put in place. You make the right decisions for your family, and then you execute that way. That's how I feel about it.
All right,
Right. And that's just a piece of the pie, in terms of what we actually got from the news last night. Of course, there is the political front, there's the criminal, the crime front, but at the same time, what is very telling is, of course, the coronavirus pandemic and how we could move forward as a people and as a country.
Yeah. And we did have a health minister, Honorable Bernard, confirming what he had already informed the media of on Friday, that Dr. Marvin Manzanero has, in fact, accepted one of the director posts. Remember, the director of health services was split into 3 separate posts, and he has now accepted one of those positions, so he's staying on with the Ministry of Health. Really interesting end to this whole unraveling of that relationship.
It was like, because I hear it out there, I always say what I hear out there, a big soap opera. But at the same time, Dr. Marvin Manzanero is definitely one that is so loved throughout this country. And so to know that he's back on full steam, in the country with respect to what he loves to do, that's a welcoming sign to Belizeans, both home and abroad, because people made a butt for the man. I tell you. But welcome back, of course, and we do hope to eventually sometime in the near future hear from him with respect to how he feels about it, and then what he plans to, or how he plans to carry out his post.
All right. Well, we got a lot to get into for today, so we're going to shift gears and get you your motivation to start your day right. And that means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. You cannot control other people's emotions, but you can control your own. Hurtful confrontations often leave us feeling drained and confused. When someone attacks us emotionally, we may wonder what we did to rouse their anger, and we may take their actions personally. We may ask ourselves what we could have done to compel them to behave or speak that way towards us. When people are overcome by strong emotions like hurt or anguish, they may see themselves as victims and lash out at others as a means of protection or to make themselves feel better. You may be able to shield yourself from an emotional attack by not taking the behavior personally. First, however, it is good to cultivate a state of detachment that can provide you with some protection from the person who's attacking you. This will allow you to feel compassion for this person and remember that their behavior isn't as much about you as it is about their need to vent their emotions. If you sense yourself responding to their negativity, try not to let yourself. Keep your heart open, and they may let go of their defensiveness and yield to your compassion and openness.
But this is definitely clear cut with respect to the meaning behind the entire thing. And it happens on a daily basis, Mar. This is telling you, look, somebody lashing out, don't take it personal. What you could do is open your hearts to that particular person. It might just be the window of opportunity for them to get the needed help that they want. Because sometimes you just might not know how to react. Mar, there's so many times we read eye-openers on here, and it tells about how you could help somebody by just not saying anything. You could help somebody by just not saying anything. It simply means you open your heart to them and listen. This is it right here. Their reaction, yes, but why say something? Keep quiet, say yes, I hear you, and then let's move on. That's the window of the opportunity that individual needs. It's compassion. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And I think it goes twofold. It's important for them, but it's also important for you.
Yeah.
I love. It talks about being able to find something that you can say to yourself. One of the things that you identify is that when people are hurting or they're struggling with something else, especially anger, they call anger a secondary emotion.
Yeah.
In other words, there's something else there that makes people angry. And I always use that as when I see people who are particularly difficult. I identify it as, okay, if they are an angry person, especially if they're angry all the time, just negative energy all the time,
Yeah.
I think to myself, they have their own problems that they are battling.
Indeed.
And it's not my responsibility to fix it, and I don't have to respond. And time again, I think all the research shows that this is exactly what happens. These real negative people that you have to see all the time and interact with,
Indeed.
they really have something else going on. And it could be like deep trauma from childhood and abuse,
yes.
and you just don't know.
Yeah.
They never learned how to cope with it, and that's unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
And they do need sometimes that moment of compassion.
And so, Mar, by summing that up, I'll go back to maybe the last two sentences. So in this case, if you sense yourself responding to their negativity, try not to let yourself.
Yeah.
What you do is that you keep your heart open to them, and they may let go of their defensiveness and yield to your compassion and openness.
Yeah.
Love it. Great way to sum it up. Speaking of summing things up, what do you say we sum up the weather, huh? And let you know exactly what to expect throughout the day. We've got the forecaster on the line. Catherine Kumbach, neighbor. Morning.
Morning, my neighbor. Morning.
And how are you today?
Hello.
And
How
how
are
are you
you?
today?
I am doing okay.
All
Just
right.
enjoying the cool weather.
Yes.
Beautiful weather.
Yes.
We are so
Sun and
glad.
Marley type of weather.
That's
Love it
right.
when it's cool, eh?
Yeah, the label, you got that cool weather with you. I like that. Now, Catherine, coming over, we actually noticed that we've got overcast skies. Will this remain to be the trend? Let's jump on into it. Tell us about the general situation, and we go from there.
Okay, the general situation is that the cool northerly airflow is prevailing, and that will persist for the next 24 to 48 hours. And John, no, it won't be overcast for the rest of the day. As I look outside, and I can see right now, it's already breaking. The clouds are breaking. We had some low clouds covering, and that was causing over skies, but that is dissipating out now. And so we're supposed to be having today have sunny skies today with cloudy spells we'll be experiencing today. As for the high temperatures, because it's a northwesterly airflow, we expect that the temperatures will be 80 along the coast and over inland areas, but in the mountains we expect the high temperatures will only go to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. As for tonight, it will be partly cloudy, and the temperatures will drop again a little bit tonight again, 68 along the coast, 64 inland, and 58 in the higher elevations. As it pertains to rainfall, we expect that rain will develop mainly offshore, those out at sea. And elsewhere, shower activity, if any, it will be isolated. As I said before, the winds will be coming out of the northwest at 10 to 20 knots, and the sea state will be choppy. The outlook for Thursday is for partly cloudy skies with isolated showers. Then on Thursday night, we could expect a slight increase in coastal showers or light rain to affect the country. And these rain that we are referring to will be just mainly offshore and along the coast, especially down south.
Well,
And that's basically what we have for you, have for you all guys. And the good news is that by Sunday into Monday for Valentine, and then a cold front is coming.
Well,
I love that you're throwing for that Valentine. That's good cuddle weather, right?
Yeah.
The only problem is it's a Monday and there's work.
Yeah.
Yes, this will be a nice, cool Monday. Nice, windy, and cool Monday we'll be experiencing.
Oh, looking
right.
forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that update.
Okay, welcome, thanks, and you all guys have a good day and stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right, thank
All
you.
Bye.
Catherine Cumberbatch, bearer of good news,
Yeah.
man. I can tell you that.
She knows how to deliver the good news. She
Right?
already gave us the preview of your Valentine Day, what it's going to look like.
Yeah, you guys could get the little matchy.
So let me ask you, when do you celebrate Valentine's Day? Will it be the Friday into the weekend or on the Monday itself?
Primarily, I am an everyday is Valentine Day type of guy. I see the patronization of the day, but I believe that you're supposed to share love and go all out every day.
So you send flowers every day?
I don't send flowers
okay.
every day. I don't send flowers every day. But every day is a day to say, you know what, I love you. And I think that's the point. That's just me.
All
Don't try to put me in a corner. I think I know the
I'm going to leave it like that. That's all. If you all are satisfied with that answer, fine. I'm not going any further.
I know that you're glad with it.
Into our show.
Indeed, we've got a great lineup for you for this morning. Like you mentioned earlier this morning, we'll be kicking things off this morning with Senator Daryl Bradley. Now, he'll be weighing in on the controversy within the UDP and emphasize the need for a united opposition party. And
Yeah.
you know, there's so many things that we want to ask him. We're getting this opportunity this morning.
Well, I think the burning question everyone has is whether or not he's going to
Yeah,
put
but
himself
he will
forward
do
for
that.
leadership.
There you go.
But of course, Senator Bradley is always open about his opinions as to
Indeed.
what's happening, not just within the UDP, but in
Yeah.
the country. So it's a great opportunity to hear how he feels about what is happening within the UDP. The second part of the show, we are talking about Valentine's Day. We're talking about love. We're talking about giving your heart to others. Why not give your heart to a child?
Yeah.
This is a campaign through the Human Development Services. It's all about opening up your homes and your families to being a foster parent or family. There's so many
Oh.
children who just want to
I
be a
know,
part of a
I
family.
know.
And there are opportunities for you or your family members to sign up to do so. So we're going to find out more about that in the second part of the show.
You know, when it comes to the children, Marlene, that's a stealer to my heart.
Yeah.
I'm for the children. That much I could tell you. We'll be closing things off this morning, though, and this one you surely want to take part in. Why do I say take part? Because this individual actually needs our help. Not your help, but our help, collectively. Now, a Belizean cyclist is actually seeking assistance to pursue his academic scholarship in North Carolina. He's getting only 1/4 of that from the school, but at the same time, he needs our help to pursue his education. You never know. There is the great Justin Williams, who is out there as well, and he is one of the top best 3 within the United States of America. Now we've got this young cyclist who is actually going over to pursue his education. Let's do this together. We'll be chit-chatting with him in our final segment this morning.
All right.
All right, so we're going to take the break, and when we come back, we'll be chit-chatting with Senator Daryl Bradley. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank Contactless MasterCard Debit Card. Introducing our Standard Debit and MasterCard Platinum Debit Cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
The Social Security Board, in collaboration with the Labor Department, takes this opportunity to remind insured persons of the requirements for compensation when on sick leave. Any employee who has worked with an employer for at least 2 months is entitled to 16 working days of sick leave with full pay every year. This is how it works. Upon approval of a sickness or injury benefit claim by SSB, 80% of the employee's weekly insurable earnings is paid as a Social Security benefit, and the difference in the employee's salary is paid by the employer. This is to ensure that the employee does not suffer any loss of wages when ill. After 16 days, compensation for sick leave is paid as a Social Security benefit only. Some conditions apply. This message is brought to you by the Social Security Board and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
I never knew love until I found you. A fairy tale story that I thought would never come true. Join us on Friday, February 11th for Open Your Eyes' annual Valentine's Special. The show commences live from Smokies at 6:30 a.m. for a guaranteed time of fun, laughter, and love. But wait, that's not all. If you are ready to pop the big question this weekend to your significant other, we have an engagement ring for you. To participate, send us a private message telling your love story. Make sure to like and follow JEC Belize and Open Your Eyes BZ Facebook pages. A lucky winner will be selected this Friday. Don't miss Open Your Eyes Valentine's Special and start your morning right.
And welcome back. We are moving now into our first segment for the morning. And like we mentioned to you at the close of earlier, we're actually being joined now by Senator Daryl Bradley, as he'll be weighing in with us, the controversy within the UDP and emphasize the need for a united opposition party. And the big question will be eventually, will he run for leader? Senator Bradley, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's always nice to have you in. We know that you're a heavy hitter. You shy away from nothing at all, and you're a very honest man. So therefore, we want to start there with respect to, how the runnings of the UDP, and because that's your party, it's out there. The runnings of the UDP, we're hearing a lot of things out there. People are actually saying there's somewhat of a dictatorship going on in that particular party as well. What are your thoughts and feelings of how that party is being run at this particular point? What's going on there?
Well, one of the things I want to say to people from the very beginning, and I've been in politics now for about 23 years, since I was 20 years old. I remember that I first ran for city council when I was 23 or 24. The first time I voted, I was actually in an election.
Wow.
And one of the things I want to communicate is politics is not easy. and politics is a lot of division. So one of the things, I mean, we had a party meeting over the weekend. It was a very tense meeting. There was a lot of different views. There was a lot of, I wouldn't say controversy, but when you're dealing with politics, I remember I was in city council for 6 years. The then prime minister and I had a lot of divisions, but it was divisions which were healthy, and because, I mean, we're strong-minded individuals. So I kind of take the comments when people say that, well, there's a lot of division, there's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of disunity, there's a lot of whatever, you're actually saying nothing. Yeah. If you look with politics all over the world, that's what politics is. Yeah. So if you don't like that, it's actually something that you should stay out of.
But how do we preach unity within a community, unity within a country, if the powers that be, or the people we see as the idols, the people who we want for us to lead, continue to just divide among themselves? That to me is hypocritical, because then how do you tell me we need to be united together, we need to be united together, but there again, you the dictator, or you the this? How do we preach that? How do we fix that?
You kind of have to appreciate what you're doing, and in terms of my personal style, you have to be very principle-based, and you have to chart a certain vision, and you have to lead an agenda, which is one of the reasons I want to kind of discuss here. There needs to be, both in the United Democratic Party and in the country, like a national dialogue about reform and change. And when you talk about leadership, one of the things that you will realize is that people will never be united under one person. I mean, politics is the most divided thing in the world, in the history of the world. So when we're talking about unity and so forth, you're never going to get that. What you want to do, though, is that you want to rally behind a vision and an agenda for integrity, change, reform, and you want to make sure that you can convince people. One of the biggest things that I did when I was mayor and in the Senate is trying to speak and convince people about a certain vision because they do not agree. One of the things that I tried to do in United Democratic Party also, for those who I'm close with in the party, is to chart a certain direction to say that this is where the party needs to go. We need to have an agenda for reform. We need to be about more challenging some of the things that the government is doing, engaging with the government where it's positive, and make it less about personality and more about issues, more about principle. And I think that when you do that, you're able to capture more people. That's the way that you will build unity. I think that one of the things I've been thankful for is that the message that I brought across has always been able to galvanize people. Why? Because people really want politics to be about them and their empowerment and the improvement of their quality of life. Whereas politicians make it about the politics of it and about the fighting, when it's really about people and their lives and how do we better communities. And if a leader talks about that and does that, I think that you're going to be successful.
So let's take a moment here, because I hear what you're talking about in terms of the general ideologies that you have for your political party. But there is the issue of, one, identifying and acknowledging the problems that exist today.
Definitely.
And I want to dive back in. I know the last time that there was an issue with now your former party leader.
Definitely.
You came out vocally talking about issues of integrity and what it takes to be a leader. In that party meeting over the weekend, did you vote against him staying on as leader?
Yes. Okay. So that my thing, first and foremost, and I believe on that previous interview where we had, you asked me a question, is leadership about character? And I said leadership is all about character. And so if you really want to be able to, and we're speaking about public character, to the extent to which you can lead people through your actions and through your vision. And one of the things that I said then and I maintain now is that the person who is at the apex of any political party or at the apex of the country has to be somebody who is above reproach. There is no allegation of impropriety, corruption, anything, because you want to lead this principle-based vision that you're moving people forward. I can't lead you if I can't lead myself. And that's a big, big issue. So that in my view, though, that argument ought not to have been that difficult.
Well, I want to ask that.
Sure.
What does it say to you that in that meeting, the difference between Patrick Faber remaining the leader of the opposition was 1?
Yes.
48-49.
Yes.
In other words, almost half of the party, even with the public fallout over this domestic violence issue, still felt he was competent enough or the right fit to be a leader. What does that say about the party that you ascribe to?
No. I want to say, first of all, that says that we need to change and we need to do better. And this is one of the reasons. Politics is about people. So you have people in the People's United Party, you have people in the United Democratic Party who you may have to convince them. Yeah. Some of their views are wrong, and you have to say that and you have to call that out. We need to be about the right things. We need to say the right things and we need to do the right things. That notwithstanding, when I'm in a room with 10 people, I can't control what 5 of those 10 people will think. If I'm the leader, I should convince those 5 people what I believe is the principled approach. And if you do not agree with me, then I know where I can go. But I'm saying that notwithstanding, I was glad in relation to the results of the vote. It was a very heated discussion. It was an extensive meeting. I spoke in the meeting, and I was very strong in relation to what my position was. And I was glad that the outcome was the way that it was.
Being on the outside, it's something that I grapple with understanding.
Definitely.
And I want to ask you directly, is it that the issue of gender-based violence is not that important or not that critical to a leader's activities, or is it that you feel the members of your party did not like the options that they had for leadership?
One of the things that I want to be very clear with this is, and again, I kind of stake out a realm where like I operate, because in life, I say you can't control anybody else but yourself. Yeah, I want to be very, very firm that there is absolutely no place for any type of gender-based violence in any part of society, especially and including people who hold elected office. That is a non-starter. I also want to say that sometimes when people make discussions and they have decisions, they base that decisions on things which I would say are not principle-based. You and I have to agree to certain things. Yes. And if you and I are having a discussion that would be meaningful, there has to be certain framework. When I go into a court, there are certain rules. When I go into any kind of other activity, there are certain rules, there are certain commonalities. We have a political system, there's a PUP and there's a UDP, but there must be certain things that we must agree on. Number one, we must agree that the people within the sphere must be people who conform to the highest level of integrity. I do not believe that that is an argument. I believe that that is something that everybody has to ascribe to. And this is not only in the area of gender-based violence. This has to do with national character on a whole.
Allegations of corruption.
Definitely. I think that we talk about this too much. I mean, in other countries, they don't talk about this. Yeah. They deal with developmental issues. I think in our politics, one of the things that really frustrates me is that I talk about people a lot. People ask me a lot about Patrick Farmer, about this. I don't really, I mean, that's not really of interest to me.
But it does matter for voters. And that's an unfortunate
situation.
I
do not think so.
Well,
I don't think so. I think if you, and one of the things that I was reflecting on, because when I thought about coming on the show, and I thought about a message that I want to communicate. Okay. I have this particular person that I know. And this person is doing everything right in the society. Everything right. The person has a degree. The person has a good job. The person can't make it in the sense that there's an issue in relation to affordable housing. That's what is important in this society right now. COVID is hitting us. And a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people have difficulty putting food on the table. A lot of people have difficulty making their rent payments. When I've been on the show before, you've given me the opportunity, and I always walk with my list. And these are things which I think will move this country forward. I have economic development and specific things under that. I talk about accountability and transparency, and I talk about social programs. That is what the Belizean people need. That is what the Belizean people are interested in. When we
that's
talk
what
about
they deserve from
that's
any
what
good
they're
leadership.
interested in.
But let me just go back to it.
Sure.
In order to get into the position where you can develop policies and allocate budgets for meaningful change within this country, you must be able to gain the position of leader.
Yes.
Or area representative with a ministerial portfolio.
Yes.
So going back to it, I understand. There's a frustration that we all feel about the level of conversations we have about our leaders. One, But two, it still is something that everybody's attention gravitates to, especially when we see the fallout that we saw with Mr. Faber.
Sure.
So I want to go back to it. How do you feel about your party knowing that they were on the verge of maintaining his leadership even with the public spectacle and fallout of his allegations for domestic violence? Are you disappointed?
I want to say this plainly.
Say it.
And I want to, because I don't want to shy away from your question. And the reason why I want to make this rider before I answer the question is because I'm over here. And I think that the discussion and so forth is over here. But in response to your question, I want to tell you that that meeting fundamentally offended me as an individual.
Wow.
It offended me because to say that I have to convince people about things which I believe should be objective, things which I believe everybody, like, I mean, I am married, my wife is a lawyer, my wife is very educated. Sometimes my wife, I have supreme respect and admiration, not only because we're in a relationship, but as a person.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, I have a mother, I have a sister, and so forth. One of the things I want to say here is that in relation to this conversation about domestic violence, gender-based violence, and I want to be very firm on this. I think that more men need to come out and they need to stand up, especially men in authority, because we have to kind of realize it. I mean, it doesn't mean that you're knocking anybody, but gender-based violence is pervasive. It affects both women and men. It affects the wider community. But men are, by and large, the perpetrators of domestic violence. So that in our environment, we need to see more men speaking out. I saw some interviews in relation to chastising the Honorable Tracy Tega Panton for her not speaking out earlier enough. I think that that's wrong, because that is reassociating domestic violence as a woman's issue. This is not a woman's issue. This is a human rights issue, and this is an issue that affects every single member in our society. And as a leader, one of the things, I mean, in terms of this, because many questions that I think you were going to ask me on the show, I don't really know the answer to, but I wanted to speak because I want to say in response to your question that I am a UDP. And I don't want people to associate the UDP with any kind of nefarious activity or domestic violence, because I am a UDP.
And
so
you.
When you say that I am a UDP, don't say that, okay, we'll cast all of those people with the same brush, because I am trying to say that the party was wrong in that discussion. And many people in that discussion, I felt very, very passionately that their opinion was wrong. And I felt that that meeting ought not to have taken 6 hours to convince people about something which I think was an objective truth. In no part of the world that we would recognize that we would kind of hold up to certain standard. No part of the world that conversation would have taken.
What was the question that arose to constitute to the vote? Like, was it, do we feel that the Honorable Patrick Faber is still supposed to be the leader or not? What was the question voted on?
I believe, I don't know the exact language, but I believe it was about accepting the resignation or something like that, because there were technicalities with it. There's no letter. So there's actually a technicality in relation to that. But that kind of conversation ought not to have taken so long, and it does. So what I'm saying, I do not want to avoid your question. I want to be very firm that it disappoints me as a member of the United Democratic Party that even on these issues of reform, when you look, for example, we're talking about things like UNCOC and so forth, we talk about that thing too long. And there are, I mean, even the thing with the whistleblower legislation, passage of that, campaign finance reform. So yes, I'm saying that this issue of domestic violence, because it is the issue that really galvanized the public, and there was a significant amount of response and backlash. But there's a lot of other things that we can be doing in terms of our society if we make the political discussion about policy and about issues and about what we need to have an agenda for change. And we have leaders who talk that and do that on a daily basis. When I was at City Hall for 6 years, we did that on a daily basis. I could list about 20 different things that we did, and we fought for those things. The bond, tax reform, BTL Park, unionizing the staff, the rebuilding of City Hall, all of those things took work. And we had to do them, and in central government you can do them, but our discussions are not about that.
Let's say, for example, that currently this country, there are a mix of views on how partisan politics are supposed to be maintained. There are those who believe in blind loyalty.
Okay.
There's still many who do.
Sure.
I know you know that.
Sure.
And there are some who have expectations of better. When you make pronouncements, or when you, and I know you opened in speaking with even the challenges you had with the then Prime Minister when you were mayor, it has actually built confidence in the public or given you points with the public, but it has discredited you within your party.
Okay.
Is that, would you agree to that?
I would say that...
Or cause problems for you within your party?
I would say that that is a good thing. And,
but it makes it difficult for you to be able to move up within the party.
I said this before, my success is not important. The fact that I would be perhaps maybe a leader in this country, hold elected office in this country, lead this country, that is not important. What is important is this list. And I don't really care who implements this list, as long as it is implemented and as long as the dialogue is about there. And one of the things that I want to say is, I believe a big problem in this society is this party political division. That has really caused fundamental damage, because we've really not made the conversation about what it really needs to be.
It would be great if the political parties had a strong sense of ideologies or philosophies. So being an ascriber would then mean I ascribe to this view or this pattern. But let me come back to it, because I know there's one question everybody wants to know this morning. And that is whether or not you will put yourself forward come March 27th as a leadership candidate for the United Democratic Party.
So one of the things I want to say first is that that's something that I'm exploring. And there are certain variables in there. For example, I've spoken to a lot of people who would be delegates. I've spoken to a lot of people who have encouraged me. I've spoken to a lot of people in the party that I'm very close with, friends. And legitimately, we've sat down, we've done calculations and so forth. One of the things is that you want to ensure, like you mentioned certain things, in order to rise up in politics, you have to be able to win a seat. I have not been able to do that. So that's kind of like, okay, then when you look at candidates and when you look at the ability, or Jules had told me that when he looked at me and I felt insulted, but I had to smile. He said, Daryl, you're unelectable. And that's one of the things that I have to, in talking
it's your weakness. It's what you see as your weakness.
People who talk, like I talk today, that's one of the things that like is a big detraction. You have to be able to win your seat. So when I've spoken to delegates and so forth, delegates have looked at me and said, Daryl, we like you, we like what you're saying and stuff like that, go win our seat for us. So like that's something that you have to really overcome, and you have to say to people that, well, I would be able to do that, because that's a risk.
So you've been polling
of course.
The delegates and other UDP members to figure out if they would be open to electing you or voting for you as the leader of the party. Let's come back to this unelectable issue. It's not fact. In fact, you were the mayor of Belize City. My question is, why did that popularity in getting you elected as the mayor of Belize City not translate into your run within a Belize City municipality?
I think because the nature of the nature of municipal politics is very vastly different than a electoral division, and this is one of the things that I think needs to change. And it needs to, your job as an area representative is, yes, you're supposed to be responsive, but you are part of the legislative process. And so this thing about maybe like caring for a constituency and like that kind of like retail politics, it's something that is unnerving for me, and it's something that I really don't do.
You mean the paying for votes?
I would
the transactions for votes?
I would characterize it as what you have said, that it's a transactional relationship. And people will see what you've done. And I think that generally, if you ask the majority of the population, was Daryl Bradley a good mayor? They'd say yes. Would Daryl Bradley make a good area representative? People would say yes. Would I go into the box and vote for him? That's kind of a different story, because people...
Why do you think they didn't?
Because I think it's our political conversation. And this is one of the reasons, if you ask me, should I go to my party or should I go to the public? I think that the public is more important, because more important than anything else is public education. Why is it, we come back to this question, which I've raised here, why do you vote? Why do you as an individual vote? We need to have conversations specific about it. I will not blame any politician for what is wrong with our society. I will blame the voter. Because they're the ones who are in charge, and they're the ones who put the politicians there. And if you vote for nonsense, you're going to get nonsense every time you do it. And I think we need to be honest, and we need to have frank conversations about this in relation to the extent to which our political electoral system is corrupted. And it is not something that encourages dialogue. I could name you 15 people right now, including Anna Banagai, including Vanessa Retrige, lots of people that I have spoken to in the society, people who want to, Dr. Cuellar, people who want to get into politics, but they say, you know what, make I stay in my law firm, make I stay in my medical profession, make I do, or if they go and run for elected office, they're just bombarded by money and they're just blown out of the water. When you have a system that does not encourage merit to come to the top, and does not encourage people with credibility, because that's the problem with the UDP. That's the fundamental problem there. If you want to tell me about reform, how can you tell me about reform and I have a problem with your credibility? That's not one non-starter right there. So that I think our conversation as an electorate has to be different.
Agreed.
Because when I talk on the show...
And it will take time to get there. And conversations like this, on a more frequent basis, if we can get people to tune out the what were you calling it, soap opera that takes place and talk about issues, I believe we can get there.
Yeah.
But again, the system is what it is today, and to be able to move, whether it's your political party, your supporters, or if elected as a leader of this country, to move the dialogue into what type of issues, social issues need to be addressed, or development issues need to be addressed, you still have to get elected. And the question is, because you haven't answered it yet, will we see you run for leader of the UDP?
Well, in order to win, you have to see a path to win. Like you have to, I mean, I don't want to waste my time, and also you don't want to be a spoiler for other people. So like because I've actually run, I believe it's twice now before. And in those ways, I mean, it's actually a methodical thing. It's not only that somebody would say that I want to win, I want to run. You have to actually see strategically that there would be a path for you to win. There's a space in that party and in the discussion for you to like add value to the discussion. Okay. And so those are the conversations that I'm having right now. Those are the things that we're discussing.
Have you spoken to the two leadership candidates as yet?
I have a very good relationship with both of them, and I've spoken to both of them. I have had.
Are they aware that you are considering?
Yes. So like I have had, I had a very good, productive meeting with the Honorable Tracy Tago-Panthan. She actually invited me to come. Her office is right next to my law firm, so we were actually pretty close. And then I have a very, very good relationship with the Honorable Shan Barrow. He was the one who actually brought me into the Senate, which makes me eligible to run. And we've had ongoing discussions in terms of everything. So one of the things is that I think, and this is something that kind of frustrates me, I have a very good relationship with the top tier of the United Democratic Party. But I do think that you need to implement radical change in order for you to secure a victory, and for you to...
Isn't that a tricky situation for you to be in as a appointed senator, where the leader of the opposition is also putting themselves forward for leader?
I wouldn't say it's tricky, but that's actually a vulnerability, because when you are the leader of a party, and this happened at City Council, and at City Council, I was at odds a lot of times with the councillors. Like, I mean, it was a political relationship. But it was just...
Yeah, we've reported on it quite a bit,
And one of the things that is there is because the mayor is very strong. The mayor is an elected person. You have certain powers by law. One of the things that I think, say for example, speculatively, that if I were to be leader of the United Democratic Party, there are certain reforms that you need to put in place right away. And those reforms have to be things, again, that we can agree with, that zero violence. We have to be able to agree with that. We have to be able to agree that we need to get money out of politics. So this whole thing where there's unchecked collection of this and unreporting of this, we need to do something about that like right away, and we need to show an example in relation to that.
We'll make it an even playing field then.
Yeah, and then we also need to promote legislation. The opposition can actually do that. We could I drafted campaign finance legislation. You give me an opportunity to talk about that here. And that's something that we could, so the discussion need to be different. You asked me a question about this previously too, in terms of like wave radio and the messaging of the United, that has to change.
And the involvement of your family members.
Yeah. That has to change, so that those are things which the leader then has to have that firmness and that authority to say, you know what, that one new thing they come, that one new person is in charge here, and these are the things that we need to do, including that we need to bring in fresh people. We need to bring in people who have integrity and people who will do the right thing once elected. And I think that if you look in a free society, we know who those people are.
Yes, we do.
Do you feel, I mean, you have been accused of being ideological, being a dreamer, being unrealistic.
Oh my God.
What does that say to you, especially when you put forward visions as you just have? I mean, any person, no matter what party they ascribe to, wants to hear about progress for the country.
Okay.
So how do you feel when people call it, you know, pie in the sky?
Yeah.
Well, I could just say that I'm happy living in my dream. I mean, like that's not a bad space.
No,
like that's not a bad space. And I don't necessarily, for example, people go into politics for different reasons. I was never involved in politics for any personal wealth. I'm a very successful lawyer. My wife is a successful lawyer. We're very comfortable. I don't have I don't have a misgiving about losing an election. Like I lost in Caribbean Shores. I mean, I felt bad, but the next day I went to my law firm and I went back into court. Yeah. So there's I was mayor at the time. So I mean, you have things that you win, you lose, that's up and down. One of the things that I would say, and I said before here, the idea with this being the mantle of a politician what I'm talking about is not my charge. It should be all of our charge. And one of the things that I think would be my biggest success or mark of success is if, for example, I met a very inspiring young woman, and that person will be a mayoral candidate, I believe, in the next municipal election. And it's that person came to me and that person said, hey, you know what, Mr. Bradley, that you apparently I taught the person, that you inspire me for one be. That's what this is about. It's not about an individual. It's about a legacy. It's about what you can build in terms of a momentum and so forth. So I am living in my dream because in my dream I hype on whatever I'm high on, but it's a nice dream.
One of the things we always preach to people is that, you know what, live your dream. And so I guess that's where you are at this particular point. I want to go back to your possibility of actually throwing yourself in the ring for leader of the United Democratic Party. You did say that you're trying to do your groundwork. Yeah. Tell us about what you're yielding at this particular point. Are you a 50-50? You know, where are you with respect to what you're yielding?
I think it's more than 50-50. Okay. I think it's, I mean, in terms of, the response has been very positive. Okay. And I think that there's a place for the discussion, because clearly when you go and you meet with people and so forth, this is the same kind of discussion that I'm having with them. The party needs to do this, we need to go in this direction, this is what, you need somebody who can unite the party and then unite nationally around, I mean, I have very good contacts with unions, I have very good contacts. So like you want somebody who not only is able to bring the party together, but also to bring the country together. Yeah. Somebody who can sell the vision of the United Democratic Party. And so there is a space for that.
But primarily, you know, in terms of getting that seat, you need to go to your delegates. Now, there is the big caucus for change. It seems that the UDP, it seemed campy. Lot of camps. Yeah. But one of the biggest one, of course, is the caucus for change. Now, would you say that you've got that backing? Honorable Shine Barrow just came out the other day, and they are actually backing him. The women's group within the UDP is actually backing Tracy. How do you feel within those things? You're talking about your delegates here. These are the people you need. These are the people you need to convince primarily.
No. I mean, so that's the calculation. So that I remember the last time too, and again with this time, you look at the delegate list. There's about 500 and certain people, and you mark off those people. Like for example, I have very good relationships with people in the municipalities. That was one of my strengths. One of the challenges this time is that a lot of those people can't vote because they never won their seat. There's only 2 municipal officers. In terms of certain constituencies, I'm very close to certain people. Like I have a very good relationship with a lot of people in the United Democratic Party, and again, it's not difficult in terms of getting that platform and engaging with them and so forth, but you actually have to convince them to make that decision to say, you know what, I'm going to vote for you.
What's the hesitation that they have? From your engagements with the delegates and the people, what's the hesitation?
I think it is the same hesitation that would have caused that meeting to take 6 hours.
Which is?
You have to agree to certain objective things. If people can say that we will agree to these objective things, I would not have a difficulty in winning that race. But people can't agree on what those things are. For example, again, if I have to sit in a meeting for 6 hours to decide to accept a resignation where the entire country know that that's a non-starter, then I will have a difficulty winning that seat. I know that I will have a difficulty because it's that same level of conversation. Can we agree that we want somebody who can galvanize national attention? Can we agree that we need somebody who is charismatic, has a vision, has a good, I'd call it one, good pedigree, that somebody where whatever? Can we agree that somebody who's a supporter of the UDP from I remember if I go in at the UDP thing, there's a plaque in there that I always see when I walk in at the party. When I was about 18 or 19 years old, I gave that to the then leader of the opposition, Dean Barrow. It has my signature on it. When I was 17 and 18, I'm 43 now. So every part of the party I've worked in. I've written for The Guardian. I have run in 4 elections, municipal elections. They asked me to step. I remember when Diane Haylock ran in Pickstock, and I was going to run there. They asked me to step down. I said, you know what, I'll fall on my sword. Every one of them, when they created...
So you feel you've earned your dues?
When they created Belmont Pond, I was right beside John. Every seat in at this part, most of them people, so then they said, well, we can't vote for you or whatever, but I was with you when you fought.
But you feel you earn, you've
done your part
your way up.
I think just one thing what I would say here is that people kind of say, boy, Daryl, you're like, somebody told me this. They say, you're the outside picnic. That's what they told me. I'm the outside. And I said, no, man, I don't know where I get that from just because you have an opinion. But I have been one of the persons in the last 23 years that have been fighting when the UDP was in opposition, when we only had 3 meetings, when we used to when we used to be very despondent, when nobody used to run for the city council. I ran for city council in that time when they couldn't get candidates. So when you're there and then people look at you and say, well, Daryl, you kind of know really this and what. No. I was with you in the politics. Even now, when you take lick as a party, I can still stand on national TV because that hurts my personal credibility. Because people want to say, but Daryl, you call yourself on UDP and look on where they go on here. That actually affects me personally because I watch where I go, who I associate with, one and seven, that I am still able to say that, okay, then, well, I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you, even in all of this debacle and things like that. That earns a certain amount, or ought to earn a certain amount of political capital. But that notwithstanding, if you do not want me, then what am I supposed to do?
Senator Bradley, you're an honest man, very opinionated, that much we know. So if you're yielding while you're doing your groundwork to try and put yourself in the ring for leader, falls short. Who do you support?
Well, it would be difficult. I think both of them have very good strengths, and I think both of them have like things which would be detractions. I mean, and we could be practical. You need somebody, and this would be a conversation, you need somebody who tomorrow could stand up and say that I can be the prime minister of this country. This is what I'm going to do. And I think that you're going to have a problem because one of the things that you want is that you want a leader who, bar none, can unite everybody. And I think that you're going to have you had a problem with that before. One of the things we're kind of confused with the UDP is that we seem to get convention like on a regular basis. That's something that's a problem. Who is going to be the leader and who is going to stand up and say, you know what, it's going to be me and this is what we need to do. And that's one of the things that I always admired about the Honorable Dean Barrow. And I have much respect for Michael Perfit because he's like that as well. Sometimes I talk about dictatorship and autocratic. Sometimes you actually need that.
Because sometimes you need a decision maker.
We just can't talk about nonsense.
Let me come back to it though, because you spoke of the fact that you do not agree with the sentiments that are being made about Honorable Tracy Panton not stepping up the last time there was a domestic violence allegation. That is, I imagine the campaign is in full swing. Let's just be honest here. And naturally you start to hear about what people, how you discredit Shine Barrow, how you discredit Tracy Panton. And part of what Honorable Barrow has pointed out is that Tracy did not take a firm stance the last time there was a domestic violence issue. You say you don't see credit in that.
I think that it's not only that I don't see credit in that, I think that that is wrong. Because for the reasons that I said before, domestic violence is not a woman's issue. If an issue of domestic violence occurs, especially in circumstances of recent nature, where, I mean, it touched everybody got opinion on Facebook.
Yeah.
I do not think that she has a special obligation to speak out. I have a special obligation to speak out. Everybody has a special obligation to speak out. So I think if you level a challenge to her that, well, okay, you didn't criticize it or you didn't whatever, I don't think...
Or you didn't take on the leadership then when it was available to you.
I think that that is not a fair credit, because that says what is wrong with the view about gender-based or domestic violence, that it's a woman's issue. And that is not the case.
And what of the link to Shine having had one allegation made against him?
In terms of domestic violence?
Yes.
Again, I don't want to speak, and if you notice in terms of my conversations, I haven't really said anything about the Honorable Patrick Farber. I haven't said anything about the Honorable Tracy Taylor-Panton. I haven't said anything about the Honorable Shine Barrow. I will say this, I do not tolerate domestic violence. Zero tolerance. In relation to who's going to vote for who and whatever, that's the voter decision. So my conversation is not about people. My conversation, if you have problems in your personal life, sort it out.
Yeah.
If you want to lead the country, then lead the country. So what my opinion is about this one or that one, that kind of gets us back into this conversation.
But
that
you,
I don't think it's kind of
But you are in, if not as a candidate for leader,
sure,
you are in a decision-making seat because
sure,
you will choose one of these two candidates.
Yes, and I would choose that person based on their ability to personally lead me. Like that's what I do. If I look at you, I will look at the whole person. I will look at your level of vision, your character, your ability to galvanize national support, your ability to win an election, but not only win the election, your ability to transform the country.
Yeah.
And that's a multifaceted, qualitative kind of decision making. So that in terms of any issue about this person having allegations of domestic violence, I want to be very clear. I do not tolerate domestic violence in the least. Zero tolerance, especially when it comes to the highest office holders in the land.
Yeah.
But our conversation can't be about, okay, well, you do this, or you do this, or you do this, because then out of the closet will open, and then nobody wanted it.
When there is an internal issue or vote, as we're seeing right now, and with previous leadership conventions, you know, your friends know your skeletons.
Sure.
Your enemies, they hope to find it, but your friends know your skeletons. And so we have been seeing quite a bit online of well-known members of the United Democratic Party airing dirty laundry, for lack of a better term. What do you think it'll take for there to be some sense of unity to come back? I mean, March 27th is very far away, and there's a lot that can come out between now and then.
That's true. I wouldn't say that is something that is germane just to the United Democratic Party.
No, not at all.
That is politics. And so
not at all. But when you've had a challenge, a leadership crisis for over a year, almost two, then it seems very dominant because it's been so persistent.
I would get back to this point here, that you talk about how do we get united as a party. I think unity is very overrated. And I think the idea, because a lot of times when you say unity, for example, I could be united with the people who were the 48.
Yeah.
And I could say, okay, for the sake of unity, I will go with you, but I will not compromise any principles. So when people tell me about unity and so forth, I don't think that is an argument. What we want is that we want to have development in this country. We want to have leadership that brings that development. And sometimes people will not agree. I mean, that's fine. So that
Well, healthy disagreement is welcome. And it helps each other. It helps you grow.
But many times,
public displays of
That's
everybody's.
That's a life I saw. I mean, you watch actors, you watch this one, you watch that one. That's just life. I mean, what you want to do though is that if there is a divide, you want to make sure that you're on the right side.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying here is that I was very proud that I was on the 49. And one of the things that I was the last person that voted. So I was the 49th
You're
person
the 49th,
that voted.
yes.
I was because they call all the persons and then the senators are the last. But the two other senators occupy other posts in the party, like, for example, Michael Perry. So his name, I was the 49th person. I was the last person that cast my vote. And that was one of the things, because I was with my family at the time, and they actually said that, hey, you know what, that's something that is...
So you put the nail in the coffin.
I was the last person. But
I'm sorry. But I hear everything that you're saying. And I want to, before we close, because we're running out of time so quickly, you have made an attempt since it is understood that Mr. Fabo is going to resign, to reach out to delegates. Sure. I'm assuming you've talked to some of those 48 as well who also voted on the weekend.
Well, some of those people are people I know. I talk on a regular basis with them.
And
not all of them.
In trying to convince them that you can be the leader of the United Democratic Party, as a senator, not having held, and not having won an election, as an area representative, what's your pitch? What do you say to convince them that you are the right candidate, that you hope will get you the post?
It's the same thing that you say here. Like, it's the same conversation I have publicly is the same conversation you would have privately. That I mean, again, you want somebody who people would respect, people can follow, people can look at that person and say, you know what, that person could lead this country, and you could do a good job at leading the country. And I think that it's no magic about it. There's no that you're going to convince them. And I think people recognize it. If you ask the average member of the United Democratic Party and you tell them, you know what, no, nothing, and you make it a blind vote, and you list 10 people, and you say, out of the 10 people, who would be the best leader for the United Democratic Party? I'd tell you, out of the 10 people, 9, and they say one name. But again, it's convincing them.
But then, is it really the delegates making the vote, or is it the representatives who select the delegates?
I think this time it's a little bit different because I think people are affected by what's going on publicly. And I think the economy, of course, COVID, these realities. So I think people are questioning more. I think people in the delegate list are tired of some of the things that are going on. I think that the discussion is kind of a little bit deeper. And I think a lot of them may be people who are affiliated with the standard bearer, the area representative, but a lot of them too just want different. Like they want, I mean, nobody wants to be in opposition. People want to win an election. And so to a certain extent, my own self-interest as a delegate would say, hey, you know what, who do I feel can really win an election? Do I feel it can be this person, or do I feel that it can be this person? And that's what I'm pitching to.
What's the deadline for you to make your decision?
I believe the deadline is on Tuesday, which is the 15th.
So you have some soul searching this weekend, or more convincing?
No, it's soul searching as well, because I mean, I have the people who I have my own boss, and in terms of like just making sure that this is the right choice, this is like I mean, it's a lot of things and so forth. I mean, one of the things that I will say too is, just in terms of an overall philosophy, I don't think that politicians should be in places too long. And so one of the things that because when I was at City Hall, I only was there for 2 terms. And when I was leaving, people, Daryl, stay another term, stay on. I said, no. Even in terms of any elected office, you're not going to see my name on any ballot for any long period of time. Because, I mean, in terms of what you can offer, and I want to end with this point. Like, this conversation can't be about an individual. It can't be about Daryl Bradley. It can't be about any of these people here. It has to be about how do we develop as a people a conversation about changing our society and building up the people within our society. And any person who wants to do that, I think that person should be the leader. And I think in truth, though, you need a group of people on both political sides. And I have a lot of friends who are members of the People's United Party that you could work with. People who are in civil society and so forth, that you get the best decision. And you can say, you know what, this is really for country. Country first and party later.
All right. Senator Bradley, you've been in the hot seat. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning and sharing with us the ongoings with the UDP and the fact that you might have your name in the barrel for leader of the United Democratic Party. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be chit-chatting with reps from the Ministry of Human Development as they'll be sharing with us how you can be a part of the Give Your Heart to a Child program. That and more when we come back.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Who offers the best mobile experience in Belize? You don't know? Well, the truth is, Digi, our national telecom, of course. Digi has the largest mobile LTE advanced network with over 96% countrywide coverage, offering the fastest mobile LTE data speeds at the most affordable rates with mobile plans that fit your lifestyle. The truth is, only Digi gives the ultimate mobile LTE experience. Visit your nearest Digi store to join the bigger, better network today. Digi, our national telecom. Visit us online at www.livedigi.com.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
It is what I need to take me where I want to go.
To learn more about our various programs, visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz.
And come soar with the Galen Eagles.
I never knew love until I found you. A fairy tale story that I thought would never come true. Join us on Friday, February 11th for Open Your Eyes' annual Valentine's Special. The show commences live from Smokies at 6:30 a.m. for a guaranteed time of fun, laughter, and love. But wait, that's not all. If you are ready to pop the big question this weekend to your significant other, we have an engagement ring for you. To participate, send us a private message telling your love story. Make sure to like and follow JEC Belize and Open Your Eyes BZ Facebook pages. A lucky winner will be selected this Friday. Don't miss Open Your Eyes Valentine's Special and start your morning right.
Back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our second segment for the morning. Now, this one is a conversation with reps from the Ministry of Human Development, and what they're here with us to do is actually to share with us how we can be a part of the Give Your Heart to a Child program, a foster parent to a child in need of a home. And we know that as the years progress and as the days go by, we know that there are a lot of children who need a very, very good home. In to talk to us about it, we've got Charette Gentle. She is a Human Development Officer, and also Arlene Flores, who's a Human Development Coordinator. And on the screen via Zoom, Tiffany Middleton, who's a foster parent. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, if we hear you, you can see that smile on there too.
The nerves will wear off. enough. Don't you worry. But I wanted to start off by just getting a bit of a background on this program. For people to know, one, that there is always a need for people to sign up as foster parents. The program is called Give Your Heart to a Child, and you're trying to recruit families to sign up. Typically, how many people do you have on your roster who are willing to foster children?
Right now we have approximately 161 persons that
countrywide.
are countrywide that are fostering children.
Is that enough?
It's not. No.
About how many would you actually need?
Maybe 400.
Wow. So you have about 25% of what you actually need in terms of foster families.
Right.
All right.
Is it because parents or people don't know how to do it? Is it because they're not cognizant of the children who are actually out there who really need a home? What do you guys feel is the shortcoming here?
That's a good question. We're not quite sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe people don't know that they can do it because it's a foreign concept still yet for some people.
Yeah.
But we still do have Belizeans that open their hearts and are welcome children into their home.
Yeah. So let's talk about what a foster parent does.
Provide commitment, open their heart, their home, and commit to that child or children that need, basically.
So it's short-term care or long-term care?
It can be short-term and it can be long-term, because those are two of the 4 programs that we have within the foster care programs.
Define the two. When we say short-term, what's the length, the duration, and long-term?
Short-term is 1 month to 6 months, and then you have long-term, which is 1 year, one month, we would say, or 1 month to, it varies.
It could be from 3 months to 6 months. Long-term could be 1 year to 3 years.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the final stage would be adoption for permanent placement. If if that's an option.
Now, the need for foster parents is the one perhaps that we really need to dive into, if people understand what the role of a foster parent is. So the state, when called in, or human development or social services, as people call it in Belize, when you go into a home, you don't always remove children from their families.
No, we don't.
No.
Our goal is to preserve families.
Yes.
And so that is always our primary goal. And so when we go into a home, we try to set the stage so that the child could maintain at home. But if that isn't possible, then we seek relative placement, which is the next stage in our continuum of care.
Auntie, uncle, granny,
and auntie,
sister,
a cousin, somebody who would be willing to provide that care and control for that child in the time that the child protection officer is conducting their investigation. Failing that, then we would go towards foster care.
So when you make that choice to remove the child from the household, it is a matter of safety, life or death?
Yes. Normally children that come into care for cases of child abuse, sexual abuse. They are at some risk of harm, or they might be an orphan, abandoned or neglected. So it might be for various reasons that they may enter our system.
And once, let's say, for example, you go into a household and you realize that there is abuse taking place. And what I'm hearing from you is, first you see if you can work with the family to protect the child. But if you realize that if you leave that home, that child is probably going to be subjected to more trauma, then you remove them. And you want to put them into a safe home.
Right.
And that's where foster parents come in.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to move it over now to Tiffany to help us understand. Tiffany, are you there? You may still be on mute.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Tiffany, tell us what prompted you to sign up to be a foster parent.
Okay, I first wanted to try it because I myself grew up in somewhat of a foster setting. It wasn't a formal setting, but it was still foster care. And I thought like the same way that somebody was able to help me, that I wanted to try and help
somebody else.
um,
Yeah.
in this way.
Yeah. So you tried it. You applied.
Yes,
Tell me what happened.
yes, I still tried because at first I didn't think that it was something that I would be able to do. Like I thought that I had to be like in a way I want to wait for me to be perfect, but that's not going to happen. So I said try because I was going to just do it, and if it didn't work out, then I knew it wasn't going to be something for me.
Yeah.
But I did, and I liked it, and I was able to help. So that was it.
So you didn't have to be perfect.
No, no, it didn't have to be perfect.
Yeah,
So
and you shake your head because this seems to be, I think we all think that you must be married with a huge house and, you know, housekeeper and making lots of money.
Yeah.
What's the criteria? We look for mature individual.
Okay.
We look for families that are willing to provide positive life experience. We look for families that can help with special needs children or teenagers or toddlers. So it's you don't have to have all the necessity and the means to say I can be a foster parent. No, it's not that.
Can you be a single parent?
Yeah. Yes, you can be a single parent.
Do I have to have other children to be eligible?
No.
You did mention babies to you, teenagers. You know, with respect to having teenagers, we know that, you know, they already have a state of mind, and so therefore, is it tough right now for the organization to actually, or the department to actually find foster homes for teenagers?
Yes, it is.
What are some of the problems we're seeing with that?
You find families, like you rightly said, families look at teenagers having their own set ways and want to do their own things. But for me, I keep pushing to my supervisors, you know, teenagers have their first. And so families should look into that as well, because teenagers have maybe some of them have never ridden a bicycle. That can be a first. You have teenagers having their first prom or the first to graduate from their home, so that's a first. So with teenagers, yes, they have their negative, but it can also be a positive as well.
So if people would want to be, if one would want to be a foster parent, what's the application process? What must they do?
Okay, so they can contact our department in anywhere countrywide, or they can also visit the website, the Human Development website, and look for the foster care link, and you can fill that out, and somebody from our department would contact them, guide them through the application process. You would need to submit your police record, your medical records.
If you're married, a marriage certificate.
Yes, your marriage certificate. And so we would then go in, do an investigation, interview your family members, you know, just to get a feel of who you are, so that once you qualify, then we can match you with a child that's available.
There are a lot of people out here.
Let me just ask one question here, because it's critical for people. You said you have about 100 people on your roster. On average, you need 4 times that. What happens when you have an emergency removal? You take a child out of a home and no foster parent is available.
What happened then?
We have set families in terms of emergency families that are only willing to do emergency care.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which means if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's urgent, you can take the baby there.
Yes, and it's just for that period of time until we can look into relative placement, because if a baby is moved tonight, you know, we can't, the social worker won't
You have to take them to a
take
safe
them
place.
to
Yeah.
a safe place or find a relative right there and then. So we look at maybe 24 hours, give or take, and we look for family.
Yeah.
So forth. But
Yeah, but
we
if
have
you can't get a placement, these children end up in residential homes.
Residential homes, and that is what we don't want.
So they did nothing wrong. They were simply a victim of abuse in their homes or something else, and they end up in a residential care facility.
And so we want to find foster families that would be able to prevent them from going to a facility that has 60 children or 30 children, and then they get lost in that environment.
Yeah.
You know, children need to be at families that can nurture them.
But you
that
guys
breaks
spoke
my
about,
heart.
I know, you spoke about the process. It seems like a lengthy process before I am eligible to foster a child. Is it a lengthy process?
Not necessarily. It depends on the person.
Okay.
How long it takes you to submit your documents. And of course, we have social workers that would contact you and carry you through the stage.
But is there a help from the department for the fact that we're trying to garner at least 400? We have 100, we need 400. So how is the department helping families to become foster care homes?
It's a good question.
Well, they're here.
Well, we're here promoting the program. When you say if we offer some type of help, we rely on people to contribute from their own free will. But we do offer minimum assistance. If needed. If needed, we do offer assistance. We try to address medical issues or major cases. But we can't sustain our 400, so we're hoping that, you know, the public could give from their heart.
What's the average age of the children that needs placement?
Right now, our target is teenagers, preteens. So between 12, 15.
These are the kids who really need.
Yes.
And they may need 3 months, 1 year.
1 year.
3 years.
3 years. You know, to get them to that stage where they're 18. We're hoping that we can find families that would assist children who reach a stage where they're 18, but they need some kind of mentor. Right? Because not because you're 18 means you're adult and you can handle everything on your own. So even if people are willing to do that, we're open.
Wow. Tiffany, I want to get back to Tiff. This is definitely something dear to. I have girls, man, you know, and this is dear to my heart. And I'd like to talk to Tiff again. Tiff, give us, share with us a story of your fostering a child and what you felt like, a happy thought, a happy smile. Tell us something.
Okay.
We're hearing you.
Did we freeze?
Oh, Tiff froze.
I think she froze, yeah. So she's one example of a foster parent. I did see the list in the care that can be provided. So the big goal is adoption. If a child can no longer go back to their families, you can choose to take them on as your new family member, adopt them.
Yes.
But there are other types of foster care that can be available. Let's talk about them. We said short term, long term. Emergency, which
and
means you can call me in the middle of the night and I will open my door.
Yes. And respite.
What's respite?
Respite is someone who would open their homes for a weekend
Okay.
or on holidays.
Okay.
And so the child would visit and spend time just to give them a family experience. Sometimes those families would continuously have that child and then they build a bond, and when that child has somebody when they reach that age of 18 that they can turn to. Somebody in the community that they can rely on.
So if I know I can't care for a child during the week, for example, I can take them in for the weekends and give them a home environment rather than being in a facility.
Right.
or Easter come around and I can take them with me for Easter or summer?
Yes, summer or Christmas
Or
break.
Christmas,
Yes.
Yeah, that's so
Who doesn't
lovely.
want to be with their family for
I know.
Christmas?
Yeah. For Christmas break.
Tiffany, you're back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay,
All
tell
right,
us
share
your
with us.
story.
Yeah, tell us your story, man.
So yes, we were looking for, we enjoy doing that every day, but you know, sometimes situations arise and we have to probably ask for a removal. And that was a very, very hard one for us because it really, really hurt me. And then, so that has been one of my ones for fostering. I also was when I had three girls. It was challenging, but at the same time, just being with the teenagers and trying to talk with them and have fun with them and stuff like that. Those really touched me and highlighted my time with them. And even though they're not with me right now, like I still get to see them and they're like, Miss Tiffany, we want to come back and stay with you. Can we come for a weekend? You know, um, so doing that was really, it doesn't only just help them, but it helps you too. And then, you know, we built that relationship. So now they know me and they always want to see me.
Yeah. How many children have you taken in over the years?
Over the years, I think I had about 10, 10 so far.
What would you say to other people who are hearing this right now? It's scary. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, people maybe want to help, but don't know what to expect. What would you say about the experience of stepping in as a foster family for children in need?
I would definitely encourage people to do it, and just like I did, try it. Yes, you don't feel like you're capable of doing it, but if you try it and you try it via like maybe the respite way where you just have them for a weekend or holiday or something like that, then maybe you will see that you can do it, and you would want to probably do it on a monthly basis or a long-term basis. So I would just encourage them to try it. And don't just give up as soon as something goes wrong, you know, try it because we think that we can't, and then we don't realize that even what we have can be a huge blessing to somebody else.
Indeed, indeed. There's a lot of love to share around. Tiff, have you ever considered adoption or adopting any one of the children?
No, at this time I have considered long term, and I know that that would eventually lead to adoption.
So what's the eligibility for adoption and what's the process?
It's basically the same criteria as fostering, completing your application, submitting your screening documents, and we do carry out the same comprehensive adoption home study report for approval for adoption. So it's basically the same foster and adoption.
How often are we seeing adoptions being taken place?
We don't have a lot of adoptions that take place. Maybe 9% of the children that are in care would be adopted. It's not a lot.
All right. So let's talk about the criteria that you need to meet for foster care. Let's start with that. If I want to do respite care, what are the things that I absolutely must have before I apply?
Your police record. Your
if I have had an infraction with the police, I am not eligible.
You can't have a criminal record.
Okay. No criminal record.
No criminal records.
Good. And if I have a spouse that has a criminal record that lives with me, I'm also ineligible.
Because we don't want to put children at further risk.
Yeah.
So of course we wouldn't place a child, and that is why we are doing the screening. And it might take a little while, but it's important that we do our due diligence. We can't take a child from a place of harm and put them back into another place of harm. That wouldn't be responsible of us. So we do that background check. We do the criminal background check. You do your medical, because you have to be healthy to take care of these children. And you, of course, you're married. If you're married, you submit your marriage certificate. You don't necessarily have to be married, because you do have single people who can foster. So you need to be a mature, responsible person.
So common law works as well. Single works as well. What age?
21 or older. You must be 12 years older than the child that you would take in.
Okay. And what's the average age? What's the average demographic of your foster families? Are they single? Are they older? What do you normally find?
It varies. It varies. We have a mix. We have single mothers, we have couples, we have married couples.
Do I have to have children already?
You don't have to have children.
Okay.
We do provide support if you have not had children before, that you would get some kind of training or parenting sessions to help guide you through that process.
Okay.
So we always try to match you according to your abilities.
From your experience, ladies, and I know with as people who work in this field, you have seen, I mean, the kind of nightmares that people can't dream of as to what can happen with children in the households. But you've also seen people come forward as foster parents. What do you think gives them that push? What kind of push can you give people who are watching this right now and saying, I would love to help to save these children or offer them a home? What do you find is the difference?
I think when they have that heart and that compassion and they want to make a difference in a child's life, they want to contribute. And that's the biggest thing, that you want to make a difference. It's just, a child just needs one person in their life that cares. You have to care, and that makes a big difference in a child's life. Just talking to them, spending time with them. It's not a lot. Just talking and giving a little attention. It's not a lot.
That's all they need.
And you're saying some of them don't even have that at home.
You guys did the same thing.
No, I know. I mean, if we move into the stories that lead to removals, I think people would get a better idea. But I guess, and let me just be upfront, it would be scary to think of taking in a child, young or teen, that has come from an abusive home. Because my natural fear would be they're going to act out. They're going to run away. They're going to be troubled children. What do you say to parents, who fosters who have that concern?
I think that's a natural fear. That's a natural concern. That's to be expected. And so the social worker would work with you through your fears. Talk with you with what to expect. You know, so you wouldn't get into it blind. You would, when we place a child with you, we would talk to you about what this child behavior is, who this child is, and you know, we would come in, support you through that process.
So you would teach the foster parents how to handle a child who's experienced trauma.
Right.
Because it can lead to anger and frustration.
But then again, these children, for the most part, are coming from families who may be labeled as broken families. But this is one of the things that we would want to change. What do you say to families out there who may be finding themselves in that situation whereby their child might be removed? How do you try to rehabilitate that person mentally, or those persons mentally, so that they're able to become stable and nurture their families? What do you say to these people when you go there?
Well, we have our child protection officers that would go in and they work with families. They develop care plans with families and help them, put them through training or different programs that can help build their capacity so that their children don't reach that stage where they might be removed from them.
Are there warnings before, or it's just a direct, we need to remove?
Sometimes it's direct, because it depends on the nature of the case that's reported. If the perpetrator is in the home, that child is at risk of further harm, then that's an immediate removal.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the situation. Some things might be gradual. If it's continuous neglect or abandonment of a child, then you eventually reach that stage where you must make that decision.
What part of this country are we seeing the most removals from?
Kyle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kyle. We have a high caseload in Kyle. Number of removals. So we would like foster parents, emergency foster parents, more from that area. Of course, we want from countrywide, but we see a larger number of children being removed from that
emergency. Okay, so if I'm in Cayo right now and I say, I'm scared, I want to help, but can I do this? You've mentioned all the facts. One, you'll go through screening, training, and you can choose what level of care you want to offer. So if it's just emergency, it's not going to be very long term.
No, it's 1 week to 3 months.
Just until you settle another
alternative place.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So again, if somebody would like to become a part of this program, foster a child or a short-term, long-term, what can they do?
Contact the Department of Human Services countrywide, or they can visit our website, our Human Development website.
All right.
Fill out an application. Social worker will make contact with you, and we can start the process.
All right. Sounds good.
Our children need them.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Tiffany, you close us off and just tell us why you convince people, or why you think people should consider to give their heart to a child.
Okay, so I already shared why that they should try, right? So, but really and truly, I would just say that word again, try, because we can't do it, and we know now that the department offers that assistance when we need it. So we know that, I know that many times I just call Miss Castillo, or I call Miss Gentle, and I would say, okay, this is my situation, and they would talk to me and tell me, okay, let's, hold on, or consider doing it this way. And I also talk to Miss Shaw sometimes, and she offers me that help, that she would take a child for me for the day or something like that. So try it, because there are people around that is willing to help you to do this for a child. And for me, the same way that I receive assistance, and I think a lot of time I think about what I could have been if somebody didn't try with me. Because so you think about all the blessings in your life and how you could impart that to somebody else by just opening your door and your home to somebody and just loving on them.
All right.
Oh my goodness. It warms my heart what she just said. But we want to thank you guys so very much. Charlotte Gentle, Arlene Flores, and of course Tiffany Middleton. Thank you guys for joining us this morning and warming our hearts with what we can do to actually share life with a child. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we're going to take the break. When we come back, we'll be visiting with a Belizean student who is actually getting an opportunity to study abroad. He's a cyclist, and we need to help him. We'll tell you how when we come back. Stay with us.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word.
The Bible says, "My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck." Mother is one of the sweetest words this side of heaven. There is no one who holds, controls, or determines the destiny of our country like our mothers. Napoleon once said, "She who rocks the cradle rules the world." Proverbs says, "Honoring your mother and father's teachings will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck." A man stopped at a flower shop to order some flowers to be wired to his mother who lived 200 miles away, and as he got out of his car, he noticed a girl sitting on the curb sobbing. He asked her what was wrong, and she replied, I wanted to buy a red rose for my mother, but I only have 75 cents and a rose costs $2. The man smiled and said, come on in, sugar, and I will buy you a rose for your mother. He placed his order for his mother and bought a rose for the girl. As they were leaving, he offered the girl a ride, and she responded, yes, please take me to my mother. And she directed him to a cemetery where she placed the rose on a freshly dug grave. The man returned to the flower shop, canceled the wire order, picked up the flowers, and drove 200 miles to his mother's home. Tributes are but empty phrases. If in words alone they dwell, we must live the praises due her, if we'd honor Mother well.
Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call on-net, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're moving now into our third and final segment for the morning. This one is all about a Belizean cyclist who is seeking assistance to pursue his academic scholarship at a college in North Carolina. Carolina, right? North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Wow. In to talk to us about it, Derek Chavaria, who is a scholarship recipient, athlete as well, and Big Bad Tariq Khan there too. Good morning and welcome, guys.
Morning,
nice to have you in.
Morning.
So let's talk about this, man. I mean, this is a very, very special one. We heard about Kaya getting a big time job there in Los Angeles with a cycling team. You're actually trying to pursue your goal of finishing college as a cyclist as well. Morning again. Tell us about it. How you feel about this one?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations as well. Kaya man, you know, them boy can ride bike, I swear. So tell us, how did this opportunity come around for you?
Well, I actually get my invite Kaya and Al Smith, Mr. Al Smith. They may send me a link to join a meeting where the college may have.
Yeah.
I end up to join it. and I applied for it shortly after. And just lately in January, I get a response. We said that I get accepted with a scholarship.
What was it? Your length of time that you waited, and did you have it on top of your mind that, man, I can't wait to get this?
Well, yeah, I kept thinking about it basically throughout the whole time after I applied.
Yeah.
And when I got the news, I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, I was very happy.
Yeah.
So.
Now this is, so what school did you graduate from in Cayo?
Sacred Heart College.
Sacred Heart. And you are hoping to finish your education and continue cycling?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you want to study?
I'm looking to go into the information technology field.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yes, sir.
And so with this scholarship, you are able to cover part of the cost, but you need to be able to get some additional money.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, how much are we talking?
Well, the scholarship is for 9,000 US, and for the full year, academic year, is a little bit over 40,000 US.
Wow.
Okay.
How many years are you planning on staying there?
Well, I'm looking at a minimum of 2 years.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So you need somewhere around 80,000 US dollars to complete your studies.
Well, that's about it. But the first year, I'm looking to at least get in the college, and then for the second year, I can see how I could cut costs and reduce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tariq, let's talk about what this opportunity represents for Derek and for other athletes.
Well, it's a big step. First of all, like I said, you know, Derek has made history twice, being the first Belizean to be the junior champion of the Caribbean, and the first junior rider now to be accepted into a collegiate school in the United States.
Yeah.
And you know, I must say big up to Al Smith and Kaya as well for, you know, reaching out to Derek. And I must also thank Alejandro Padilla. He's a Guatemalan, two-time cross-country champion. He put in a big recommendation for Derek as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, he went to the same school as well.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it just shows that in the community effort of making this happen for Derek now. And it's just the beginning because, you know, a lot of these European pro athletes, they go to collegiate schools, they get their degree by the age of 21, and they're racing Europe and they have their degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a huge step for Derek, and I really want Belize to get on board and support this young man in making this happen. No?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, I believe it's just for the first year he's going to need support, because as soon as this school see how great he is, he's going to get on a full ride scholarship. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does happen. And that's what I wanted to get at. What you're saying, we have been interviewing athletes who've gotten college scholarships in different areas, but this is the first in cycling. What's the difference in the training that one would get at college level?
Well, this school actually produced some of the top cyclists in the United States now in the crit section. And they have the science and the machinery to take Derek to the next level as well, in terms of learning his body and creating a engine for the future, especially if he wants to continue and race to the European level now. So it's definitely a big advantage for him that we can't even offer him here in Belize. So he's already a step into making things happen.
So there's a possibility he could get a full scholarship. Yeah. He just needs to make that entrance and wow the crowd.
Yep, exactly.
What are your thoughts right now, Mr. Chavarria, in terms of your approach to it? How do you what do you think you're going to carry out upon arrival in the U.S.? Like I'm thinking about that, like blowing their minds. What would be your way to do that?
Well, honestly, it's more academically. You have to provide good grades while to perform good in the sport. So definitely you would need more training, but training where they overtrain yourself or overdo your body. Yeah. So it go hand in hand with the school and the cycling. I believe if both of them really at my best, and then could say that I did perform good on everything. Yeah. I believe I might have a shot.
Do you have any experience in information technology, the field that you'd like to move into?
I had experiences last semester. I'm going to Sacred Heart Junior College currently. I'm in my second semester, first year. I had experiences with the introduction to computer and other stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how we're going to raise this money, because this is the big part of things here. What are your plans in raising, and you guys plan in raising this amount of money that you need?
Well, currently we're thinking of sales. I had a guy in the US, Mr. Oswald. He said he was sending me some T-shirts I could sell. We're planning on some raise funds like community rides, barbecue sales, food sales, and just other stuff that we could think of. Everything that we can get will help.
Is there a deadline to raise a certain amount of money by?
Well, honestly, I just need to pay a commitment fee by May 1st, and after that will secure my spot in the college.
What's been the response so far, Tariq? I know you've started the conversation with sponsors, with people who can donate.
The response so far is good. We're going to actually see how much money we get between now and before he leaves. But I do believe we'll get a big sum of it. And I told him, I mentioned to Derek, if we don't get all right by the time we leave, no worry, we'll figure it out. And we'll push here and make sure he get the first year covered. And
raise funds for the next year.
And so it could be successful, no?
Yeah.
The most important part, I always tell all of them in cycling is just not give up. Just don't give up, continue following it, and everything is possible. Never tell yourself nothing possible. And Derek is a shining example for kids all around Belize to know that, he's just 18 years old, and he's had this success come his way because of his hard work and his family's hard work over the years. So, I can't stress that enough, that this young man is a phenomenon and he's going to make us proud, and I really hope, well, I shouldn't say I really hope, I know that Belize is going to support the man. And, us as a cycling family will support him to make sure this is a dream come true now.
18 years old. Would you participate in the cross country if they do have a cross country?
This year, yes.
Wow, man, so excited too.
And he's actually a favorite.
Yeah.
He just won the race this past Sunday from Belmopan to Coastal Road and down south, and finished in Armenia Hills race. He won, and actually Derek is one of the youngest riders to finish in the top 3 in the US Classic in the past 7 years. He was second this year behind his teammate Brandon Catus.
Wow.
So he at 18 years old, he's a favorite to win cross country this year.
Only 18 years old.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure.
He looks so calm.
Well, he lit up.
But you seem to have good guidance so far, because you talked about pushing yourself but not pushing your body too hard. What's it been like having the rest of the community help you with this?
Well, it has been a big impact. Mainly my family. My dad grew up with certain training, and now in the modern era, things change. But I still follow the advice he gives me, because they're still useful and helpful. A lot of people give me advices, and I take all of them into consideration and I put it to use.
Man, this guy, I swear. But we know that the Kaya district have been producing some top tier riders in the likes of Shane Vasquez. You've got the Choto brothers. Then so we know for a fact that that field for cycling is out there. How long now have you been doing this? You're only 18, boss.
I've been riding for 10 years.
Well, heck, that's since he 8.
Since he's 8, he's there's only 2 athletes. I think 2 riders I know started 8 years old in Belize. He's one of them. That was Ian Catus, Kaya's younger brother now. And they were 2 young.
They grew up in cycling families, that's why.
Exactly. So from the young.
So who's your role model? Who's your idol when it comes to riding?
Well, I look up to my brother, Jocelyn Jr. Ever since I've been watching him race. I used to play with him and tell him that he's weak. But I just joke with him. But I look up to him a lot. He really helps me out in every way he could.
You've been getting.
And now you beat him, right?
Well, he gets distracted with work.
Oh, so now you beat him. Right?
but my brother, you're actually getting recommended from people like the Padilla brothers. What did that make you feel like? I mean, these Padilla brothers are no joke. They're out there. They're actually gobbling up everything during the cross country. How did that feel to know that the Padillas actually support you?
Well, it feels good. Again, with the assistance of Kano.
Yeah.
I really have to thank him for that. But like you said, the Padillas are really good riders. It's an honor to get recommended by them. So I thank Kano and Padilla for helping me out.
So how do you get these t-shirts? Because this money need to get raised, man. What do we have to do?
Well, hopefully soon, he said there's a guy helping him with that. For sure, I'm going to start planning the community ride. We're going to start and finish it in his home village, and to have a fun day as well out there, and just a fundraiser. We'll keep you guys in the loop with it.
Yeah.
And but between now and then, if anybody wants to donate, they could reach out to myself or Derek, and I happily take them to meet the family, and they could issue their donation in support.
Yeah.
And no worry, if they don't, I always tell people this: if they don't want to give them the cash, they could figure a way to pay directly to the school as well. That would be even more than welcome and easier for him not to figure out how to get the money to the States.
Yeah.
So I know some people do have American accounts, so that would be perfect as well.
Or even Belizeans in the diaspora who may be streaming and watching, maybe they want to support as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But it seems that things are moving in the right direction, and it seems that there's a positive thought here. Your final words to Belizean athletes your age or younger who are actually seeing you as an idol. Why should I be a part of the cycling family?
Well, cycling is a really good sport. It gets you off your mind off negative stuff that happen, and they have a lot of negative stuff that happen nowadays. So you really get your mind off of those, and put yourself into something positive.
Yeah.
And as you see, I try to excel, and so can them.
Yeah. Wow, this guy, man. I've got to say kudos to you, Derek Chavaria, scholarship recipient, athlete, and Tariq Khan. We want to thank you guys for joining us this morning, man. And we wish you all the very best. Remember, when things are actually happening, hit us up here at 5 so we could eventually push it out for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take our final break in the morning. When we come back, we'll be wrapping things up. Stay with us. We will be right back.
This Valentine's Day, ditch the roses, skip the romantic dinner, and simply say, I love you with a Samsung. Treat that special someone to a Samsung A-series device. The awesome and affordable lineup includes the Galaxy A02, A03 Core, A03s, A12, A22, A32, S20 FE, and even the Tab A7 Lite and Tab A7 LTE. Plus, there's no tough love with Samsung. Every Galaxy purchase from an authorized reseller comes with a 1-year local warranty that will make you love that Galaxy even longer. So head over to any of Samsung's official partners this Valentine's and make it special.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
And we're back.
You caught me. It was a great time. We had some good conversations this morning. Kicking things off with Senator Daryl Bradley, and he is in heavy consideration to put his name in the barrel for leader of the United Democratic Party. We know that that convention is coming up on March 27th this year. That's only about 2 months, less than a month and a half away. So what is it that going to be like for him and their party? Well, we've got to wait and see. But Channel 5 will break that down for you.
Well, Senator Bradley has until Tuesday to be able to decide whether or not he's going to put his name in. As he says, he is doing his canvassing to see how people feel.
Yeah.
He clearly has some challenges that he has to overcome. So we will know come next Tuesday.
Indeed. And we also want to say a big thank you to Charette, Arlene, Tiffany. Give your heart to a child. We're in a lovely country. We're loving people. We go by that mantra, it takes a village to raise a child. And there are so many children out there who is actually looking for foster care. You are able to do it. If you are, then you want to reach out to the Department of the Human Development Department and see how eligible you are. And if you are, then give your heart to a child.
Yeah, this is just one of those programs that I wish we could promote them every day, because it is definitely one of the areas of need in the country. And I always tell people this: we have this feeling of helplessness when we hear about bad things happening to children, and sometimes it's spinning it into where can I take action? Well, this is one of those areas.
Yeah.
And it may seem daunting to imagine taking on a child or children, because sometimes when you take multiple siblings together, for 3 years, but you can start small. You can start with bringing children into a home, a loving home, for Christmas or for a weekend or for Easter.
Yeah.
You can be that door that opens for them when they are taken out of what is a almost life-threatening situation from their homes, and then come to you as their safe space.
Indeed.
Or you can take them for a shorter term, and of course, as I mentioned, for the longer term. And ideally, we'd want to see more adoptions, but that still isn't something that we see a lot of today. So all the times you hear stories and you feel helpless, this is one of the things that you can do to help.
They say they've got 100 people who are actually doing their part with respect to foster care, but they need 400. So this is your opportunity to give your heart to a child, all right? So we want to thank them again. And also a big thank you to young Derek Chavarria, scholarship recipient athlete. Now this guy is on his way to college in North Carolina, but he needs our help. And like he mentioned, there'll be things throughout the duration of time between now and before he leaves to raise the necessary funds that he needs to eventually to get into the school. Look, anybody who leaves this country for education, sport, whenever you're going out there to represent your country in whatsoever, you are an ambassador. When that person makes success, the country makes success. So in order for that to happen, we need to help. So big thank you to Derek Chavarria and Tariq Khanna for joining us this morning.
Yes,
thank you.
Of course. And that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
If you'd like to contact us, send us an email.
At you see your gun that we found. OIE at channel5leads.com. Hit us up on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ. There we go. It's right there. Or on Instagram at OYE Belize. I got it.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right. And as per usual, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.